What's up, everybody? Don DiMato here, and welcome to Codecast Live. This is going to be another coding episode where we're going to be just kind of checking some stuff out. Today, we're going to be actually just selecting stuff in the DOM, which is the document object model, and this basically means the web page. But it's a really fancy way of doing it because it's doing with JavaScript, which is cool. And frameworks kind of do this and they abstract it for you, but we're going to do like the low-level stuff. So let's just take a look at what we're going to be doing today. I have a pen ready to go. So we're going to take a peek at that if you have the link at the bottom. And you'll see that we have a couple of HTML elements in here. Okay, so the first one is a regular div, has nothing on it, no attributes or anything. The next one is a div that has a class on it. It has the class myClass, really well thought out there. And then we have a div that has a ID, which is my ID. And the last one, I've made up a data attribute, and I put a value of whatever on it. Because again, I really can't think of any good names for this stuff. So normally in CSS, the way that you would select these elements is, well, first off, you would select all the divs by doing this, right? And you would put some styles in there. But we don't need any styles for right now. I'm just showing the selections. Then in CSS, to get the one that has the class, you'll put a period and then the class name. So that we get that second div there. Really cool. And then the third one, we would do my ID, just like that, and that hash symbol over there will signify it being an ID selector. And then finally, if I want to select everything that has the data attribute of data something, I could do that. Or if I want to select a specific data something with a specific value, I can do whatever. Okay? And there's different ways of selecting stuff also. You can go ahead and select stuff by how it starts or how it ends or anything like that, and there's weird stuff. But I'm not going to go into that today. I'm actually more interested in the JavaScript today. Now, in order for us to see the nodes that we're selecting in here, I'm going to have you right-click our results area and click Inspect. And the police are coming for this JavaScript right now. You can hear it. And I'd like you to see, it doesn't matter if the panel pops up, if the panel pops to the right or the bottom or on the side, you could change it with these dots here. You can dock it in different areas, but just make sure that the console here is active, okay? Now in JavaScript, what we'll do is be selecting these elements in a couple different ways. The first way is going to just be able to select just the one with the ID. So I'm going to make a new variable, and I'm going to say my ID div, and we're going to say document dot get element by ID. And notice that element is singular. Okay, it should only be one ID or one element on the page with that ID. Okay. Then we're going to do a console.log, and that's going to allow us to see a reference to the div in the console. There it is, right there. That's the div. Okay. So that div is being represented in our console, and it's being represented in JavaScript with the myID div. The fact that I have this reference here allows me to make changes to that node. We can change the contents of that node with text content or inner HTML. We could also add classes to it, remove classes from it. We could do a lot of different stuff in JavaScript, even remove the node if we didn't want it anymore. But this is the one that allows you to select a singular element specifically by ID. Now, if we wanted to select the class, actually, we can do, say, my class div. Let's do that. And document get elements by class name. Okay? And we put the class name of my class in here, just like that. Okay? And I'll make this a little bit bigger so we can just know one line. Cool. Okay, so now what we'll do is we'll console log our result there, and you'll see that's a little bit different from what we did with the ID. Okay, so this returns an HTML collection. An HTML collection is very much like an array, but it's not exactly an array. So it doesn't have all the methods like push or pop on it, but it does have a length, so you can get the number of elements that you've gotten back from this. Or you can also select an element by index. So in JavaScript, we start counting at 0, so I can put in a 0 right in here. And you'll see I get the div for my class, right? So we have the ID from before and the my class div directly afterwards. And that's because we've console logged it here and console logged it here. Okay. Now the thing about CodePen is this runs every time I make a change in here. That's why I have some errors. It wasn't ready for me yet. We can clear that out with this thing right up here. Cool. All right. So let's do another thing here. We're going to do, let's get all the divs. So let's say all divs, just like that. And we can say document get elements by tag name, again, plural. And then we'll put the tag name in there, that's div. We'll console log all divs, just like that. Okay, and similarly, you will get a HTML collection, but you can see now they have a few things in here. I have div, I have the class one, the ID one, and the one with the attribute. Now you'll see that it doesn't have the selected for attribute in here, but you'll see if you twirl this guy down that there's a couple of places where attributes will pop up. So you have attributes here, it says data something. It also says it in the data set property here, it says something whatever. So there's a couple of different places that you can actually identify that. But there's actually a better way for us to select stuff, especially when it comes to attributes, and that's by using document query selector. So let's do my attribute div. Let's do that. So more descriptive. And we say document query selector. Oh, and this is a string, so that's what the quotations mean. And we say data something, just like you would do in CSS. Okay, so we have the brackets. Anything that goes into those brackets for document query selector is going to be the CSS selector. So any of these guys that we did here, the div, .myClass, hash myID, all that stuff is stuff that will go into query selector. The other ones like get elements or get element, these need to be just a string of the name of the thing. So for the ID it was just this thing, for the class it was just this thing, okay, and for the tag name it's just div. All right, so that's the difference there. So anyway, we want to look at what we got, so let's do a console log of my attribute div, and you'll see we got the div. There it is, that's the guy. Okay, now the last thing I'm going to show you is a way to get basically anything, because what query selector will do is only get you the first thing. If we had multiple things to get, we would actually want to use query selector all. So let's all divs again, I guess we'll do that. And we'll say document query selector all. And we'll say all divs again, just like that. Come on now, type it right. And we'll say all divs again. Okay, so now this is returned a node list. And you can see if I twirl this down, it looks very similar to our HTML collection from before. Okay, very similar to that. What's the difference between HTML collection and node list? It's actually really not important, and I say that because I've never needed to know the difference between them. But I do know that both of them, again, are array-like, but they're not arrays. So while they do have length, and you're able to get stuff by index, so if I wanted to get that div with the attribute on it, I would put in the number 3 because we would be counting by 0, 1, 2, 3, just like that 3 that's there. So that'll give me the data whatever from before. But you cannot do anything like push or pop or splice or even any of the iterator functions like map or reduce. So none of that will work natively with an HTML collection or a node list. So that's basically the jam for today. And hopefully that was informative to you folks. I'll have the link to that code pen in the description below, and hopefully that was helpful for everybody, and I guess we'll see you next week. Thanks for watching.